But first, I want to talk about not politics, but psychological warfare. It's what the media have been waging against the Prime Minister for the past few days. For some reason, they decided that this was the week that the Prime Minister had to say sorry for the vaccine rollout. You may have heard them say it over and over and over again.
I've never heard the word sorry. Guys, you know what? Sorry. We did screw it up, but we're getting it right now.
A lot of people have been scratching their heads. Why is it that you so firmly believe the government doesn't need to say sorry about anything in relation to the failings of the vaccine rollout?
People are angry, people are frustrated. The PM won't say sorry. Are you prepared to say sorry for the rollout? Sorry seems to be the hardest word though, right?
You were asked a number of times to say sorry yesterday. Why couldn't you say that then?
It's BS, it's theatre. It's just a pile-on from people who don't like a particular political leader. That's fine, that's part of politics. But again, nothing happens differently in terms of the number of people who get vaccinated or not, whether the Prime Minister says the word they want them to say or not. And yesterday, he made it pretty clear that it doesn't really matter whether the word sorry is used or not.
I take responsibility for the problems we've had, but I'm also taking responsibility for the solutions we're putting in place and the vaccination rates that we're now achieving.
Now, again, you can like or dislike this Prime Minister, but fairly obviously he's been running himself ragged for the best part of 2 years, trying to hold a country together. A country that is splitting at the seams, that turns state versus state, that treats fellow Australians as if they are literal or virtual lepers. Yet even after he said what was clearly a sensible thing yesterday, the media yet again showed that they are participants, not observers. One of the chief ranters over there at the Turnbull Times said that Morrison offers microaggression and deflection when all we want is an apology and a solution. Who's the we? Now, the we, of course, is the media who have always hated this Prime Minister. They hate you for voting for this government. They hate that the quiet Australians won't roll over and give them the woke-topia that, for whatever reason, they think that Australia has to have. And, of course, all of this has political implications. Because who are the media parroting, or who are the politicians parroting when it comes to the media? Well, you take your pick.
Well, sorry really is the hardest word for Mr Morrison to say, and what an extraordinary day of spin and lies from the Prime Minister yesterday. He says he takes responsibility, but in the very next breath, he finds a long list of other people to blame.
Honestly, as if we live in some sort of North Korean fiefdom where the sole leader of the country clicks their fingers and things magically happen. Again, singing from the Stefanovic song sheet was Each Way Albo.
And now he's looking for excuses and looking for someone else to blame. Yesterday we know that he channeled Elton John. Sorry seems to be the hardest word.
Oh, you flog. So yes, finally he said the word sorry and all was right with the world.
I'm keen to ensure, as we have been over these many months, that we've been turning this around. I'm certainly sorry that we haven't been able to achieve the marks that we had hoped for at the beginning of this year. Of course I am. But what's more important is that we're totally focused on ensuring that we've been turning this around.
So the media, of course, took a victory lap. In taxpayer television, surprisingly, the Turnbull Times as well, all with their celebrations of sorry. So yes, congratulations, you did it. You got the Prime Minister to say sorry and all was right with the world. What garbage. This isn't accountability. This is psychological warfare from people who hate the bloke. Like him or dislike him, but that's the game that they are playing right now and any sane person can see it. But here's the reality of the vaccine rollout in a country that has 25 million people in it, from the earliest baby to a person who'll drop off the twig tomorrow. 10.6 million doses of the vaccine have been administered thus far. That's incredible. Is it enough? Never, because we're not at the full 100%, but we're never going to get there for all the reasons I've laid out for a long time. Yesterday, almost twice the size of the MCG was vaccinated in any one day. And when it comes to the most vulnerable population by age, well, they are hitting vaccination rates that the rest of the country is nowhere near and probably won't hit either. In fact, If you're over the age of 50, 61% of people have at least had one jab. They're starting to get their insurance against the virus, not from catching it or passing it on, but definitely from going to hospital or dying. And 76% of people over the age of 70 are in that boat too. And again, the psychological warfare where you can pick and choose your statistics to tell your story. This is how Australia is going compared to the rest of the world and the country that so often our left-leaning media would like to compare us to. We are above the rest of the world when it comes to the number that are fully vaccinated or one of two jabs. To put it into numbers rather than graphs, 29% of the Australian population has had at least one jab of this. It's 26% around the world, which means we're basically on average. And New Zealand, with its woketopia, with no state governments and with Queen Ardern in charge, it's behind Australia on 19.2. So let's talk about the word sorry and which political leaders need to say sorry. At the start of the pandemic, when it got out of control in China, as you know, knew that there was a problem, but wouldn't tell the rest of the world. So they decided to literally weld people in their homes in Wuhan, China to stop the spread. They limited domestic flights, but kept the international flights going, exporting the virus to the rest of the world. You want to talk about leaders who need to say sorry. Today in South Australia, people who don't have the virus have been sent to a Medi hotel. Now, this is not a Medi hotel where you can go and pop out and play some golf or go for a swim. You are locked in your room. Sure, not Wuhan style, but you have about as much freedom as those people did at the height of the pandemic. The Nutty Professor, it was open that people who don't even have the virus are being taken to facilities and can't leave.
There were 91 people from the Greek on Halifax, from the Tenerife winery, which of course we've only recognised more recently to be a high-risk transmission site. There are 125 people that we have identified at this point in time. Because of these being a high-risk location, what we're doing at the moment is moving all of those people into the Medi Hotel facility.
In Australia, in July of 2021, people who are not sick have been taken from their homes and placed in a facility that they choose not to be in and that they can't leave. No pressure for sorry. Instead, this garbage is what the media was serving up to the Nutty Professor in South Australia today.
Yesterday, a lot of people took your advice to reorganise their soft drawers. What's the husband's job today? And you might people are following along with it.
Oh, well, my dear husband had a lot of friends emailing him, asking him how he was going.
You want to talk about sorry? Where's the sorry to the families of the 768 people who died because the Victorian government chose not to properly guard hotel quarantine? Where is the sorry from the Queensland government to the woman who lost one of her twins because of hard borders? Where's the sorry from the New South Wales government for waving through the Ruby Princess and spreading the virus in part around Australia and literally causing deaths? But you don't get sorry out of these people. You get told to shut up. Most people in the media don't even ask for it. And you can't expect much of a sorry from the Health Minister, Brad Hazzard, the Health Hazard, as I call him, in New South Wales, because remember, this was the bloke who wouldn't apologise to the family of a little girl who in a car accident broke her neck. You remember we raised money and talked about Lorelei Chambers a few months ago. They never said sorry that Wyong Hospital turned her away and didn't give her a CAT scan. She ended up having so much pain that she was throwing up the painkillers her family were giving to her, and eventually she went to another hospital where, guess what? They did a scan and they worked out that she had a broken neck. No sorry from the Health Minister. No demands for sorry from a media that is playing psychological warfare, not having accountability.